The MLB trade deadline has arrived, and we're breaking down every trade that was made and grading who won and who lost. After months of speculation about who will get traded where and what the ramifications of potential deals would be, the trade deadline is finally here. The frenzy of deadline, an annual tradition for baseball fans, didn't pick up until roughly 24 hours before the deadline was set to pass on Friday afternoon. Once it started, though, the dust was kicked up at a ferocious pace and absolutely massive deals began to come together. Usually, the trade deadline has a main character that everyone talks about for months and follows up to a final resolution. This year it was an ensemble cast, with major names getting tossed out and gigantic proverbial set pieces blowing fans away with how spectacular the trade at the center of it was. The dust is now settling, and as MLB forges on into August and the final 2 months of the season, we can begin to assess how much the chaos of the deadline changed the course of the season. When is MLB Trade Deadline 2021? The MLB Trade Deadline will pass on Friday afternoon at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Teams will be able to make trades after the deadline passes, but the waiver wire will become a factor. If a team wants to make a trade after the Friday deadline, known as the non-waiver deadline, a player will need to pass through waivers before he can be traded to any team in the league. If a team claims a player, those two teams can work out a trade, or the team that placed the player on waivers can pull him back. MLB Trade Deadline Live Updates and gradesNote. These grades include teams and major players that were involved in trades starting on Thursday and extending through the deadline on Friday. Any trades completed before Thursday, aside from the Starling Marte deal, are not graded here. Giants win the Kris Bryant trade. SweepstakesGiants get 3B of Kris Bryant. Cubs get C. Joey BartOF LaMonte Wade Jr. Giants grade. This was the biggest trade chip of the deadline, as it wasn't a matter of if Kris Bryant would be traded, it was where and for what. Trading for Bryant quickly went from being a leg up to becoming a necessity for the Giants. After the Dodgers broke baseball by trading for Max Scherzer and Trea, the arms race became a sprint just to catch up to Los Angeles. The bill will come due, however, which is the looming other shoe waiting to drop in this deal. The Giants landed Bryant and have propelled themselves to being close to the Dodgers as World Series favorites in the NL, but it cost them their two best young prospects. Joey Bart and LaMonte Wade Jr. would individually be centerpieces in a trade, and the Giants needed to move them both to get Bryant. It's the steepest price any team paid for a player at the deadline, but the Giants are massive winners for landing Bryant and adding him to a roster that was already well on its way to contending for a World Series this year.